Hello there, and welcome back to Elite FPL, our latest podcast looking ahead to Gameweek 13. The international break is over, and now we return back to Premier League action with the weekend coming up. We're going to be talking about our teams in our mini league, our 12-8 Elite mini league that we take very seriously. We're going to be previewing the games ahead, predicting some scores, looking at some captaincy contenders, and recapping ahead and hoping to make this game week a good one. And I'm with Jason and Steve-O, as ever, both my good friends. How are we tonight, gentlemen?
Good evening, all. Yes. Hello, everybody. And if anybody's in the live chat, hello to you too. And if you, as I keep stating on the @EliteFPL Instagram page, please just send us any questions, comments, observations for this game week, basically, and we'll try and help you out as much as we can.
Well, we've got people in the live chat already. We've got the usual suspects. We've got Dejan, we've got Andy, and we've got Aman Dylan in chat.
Aman Dylan is our main man.
So I just mentioned that we've got a bit of a slideshow going on with Dan's connection at the moment. So just bear with him. He does know. He's tied into a 2-year deal, so he can't do much about it.
I mean, as Dan said, well, thankfully to the people that are watching, we're not actually going to do our mini league review at all because we've already done it. We did it in our last podcast, and if no one's actually watched it, please go and watch it. Quite interesting because it's a bit of a different one. It's more of a history lesson into our mini league, why we do this podcast, and just to kind of get you guys to know who we are, really. But I think, Dan, we'll just kick off with the preview of this game week, as we always do, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I actually quite enjoyed the international break because I could just watch football without worrying about players getting points. But it's that horrible thing of, like, watching England beat Croatia and enjoying the win, enjoying the game, everything else. And I was like, hold on, Chilwell. I sort of enjoyed all these games, and then I was thinking, oh, Shaqiri got 3 assists against Belgium. That's interesting. Oh, Harry Kane scored at his home ground. It's like, shut up! Just want to enjoy some football without worrying about it. But yeah, Mendy injured, great. Doherty, a doubt potentially, great. So back to somewhat of the headache of FPL, but look, some very tasty games coming up this weekend. Particularly Spurs, Chelsea. Look forward to that.
Yeah, there certainly is some tasty games coming up, but as we all know, the history has been doing very well this season. So for any new viewers, myself and Dan and the history go up against each other, predicting the score lines. You may be wondering what we mean by the history. It basically is I use whoscored.com, and they look at the last 6 fixtures and they just give, obviously, the results of the past 6, whether it was a friendly, a cup game. Usually it would be the Premier League game, though, to be fair. And the history is beating myself and Dan by 6 game weeks to my 4 and Dan's 3. But I've been catching up. I've won the last 2. So you may want to take note of my scores. Dan also does a dead cert bet where each game week he has been accumulating money on a team that he believes is guaranteed to win. Started game week 1 and he's up to now game week 12. Hasn't lost at all because he's been basically placing on either Manchester City or Liverpool. So we're going to kick off this game week, and it's my hated one. It's the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and it gives me even longer to be worrying about choosing my team. And we start off with Brighton versus Leicester. And the nice little statistic in this game is that in the 3 teams and in the 3 matches that Leicester have won this fixture, they have won it via a clean sheet. And the history is going with a 2-0 victory. I personally think that with all the trauma that the Leicester players are going through and the grievance that they're going through with their owner sadly dying, passing away, I still think it's going to be playing on them. However, I think they've got enough to hold off Brighton, and I'm going to go with a I'm going to go with 1-1. So, Dan, what do you think on Brighton versus Leicester?
Well, I bought in Glenn Murray last game week around away to Cardiff. But obviously in that game, Brighton had a player sent off, a defender, I forget his name.
Stevens.
So Stevens. So, and rightly so, actually, wasn't sending him off. So that was quite frustrating. Still got Schmeichel. Brighton have been getting some good results at home this season. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Brighton and Glenn Murray to score. Very optimistic.
So on to the next game, which we'll come to you, Jason, actually, in a minute. A lot of people are actually considering a bit of a punt on Richarlison as a captain in this fixture. It's Everton at home to Cardiff. These teams have only actually played twice in their history, and it ended 0-0 at Cardiff and 2-1 to Everton. So it's just at home to Everton. Just going to go with a 2-1 victory to Everton here. Me personally, I think that Everton will steamroller Cardiff here. I think Cardiff will score though, because I just don't think Everton are that great defensively. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory. But before we come to you, Dan, Jason, you brought in Richarlison, didn't you? Is this the potential of a differential captain point for you to be pushing up to that, well, the top 100?
I don't think so. I don't think it's worth 2 weeks in a row taking a gamble. I'm going to play it safe this week and choose one of either Aguero or Salah or even Hazard.
Yeah. Dan, what are your thoughts on Everton versus Cardiff, mate?
Yeah, it's a good win for Cardiff last time around. This was ages ago now. Winning against the aforementioned Brighton at home. But Everton have been pretty strong at home this season and playing some very attacking football. Not so great defensively, but Richarlison, I've still got him locked in my team. I've had him for some time now, obviously playing in that forward role. I think he's quite essential at the moment. Don't think I'll captain him, but yeah, I'm going to go 3-1 to Everton.
The same result as me. So on to
learning from you.
The newly managed Fulham with Claudio Ranieri in charge of Fulham. It's his first game in charge, of course. He's up against Southampton, which I think is a very favourable fixture. Southampton, it's just a question of when is Mark Hughes going to get fired. I think though Southampton will score because, as we know, Fulham are shambolic in defence. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory. The history, it's going with 2-0. So the initial first 6 fixtures were all 3 draws. It was 3-3, 2-2, 1-1, so weirdly. And then the last 3 fixtures that Southampton have played Fulham, they've all won all 3 to 0, basically. And the history is going to go with 2-0 here. What do you reckon on Claudio Ranieri's new team, Dan, Fulham?
Yeah, new manager. Obviously, will give the players a bit of a lift, perhaps a bit more confidence. Favourable fixture. No Mitrovic now. He didn't pass the test away to Huddersfield. Took him out last game. Jay, same thing. Although, Jay, you've still got Mitrovic, haven't you? Sorry. Or have you?
Yeah, I've still got Mitrovic, and I am confident that that he can do something with a revitalised Fulham team going forward under Claudio Ranieri, who said that, didn't he say something like he's going to take them to McDonald's or something if they
he did that with Leicester. He took them for pizza after they won a game or something. Typical, Italian treat.
Thing is, I'm not being funny, right? But what with Ranieri, if there's any person that can kind of change the attitude in the dressing room and like bring players together, it's Claudio Ranieri. He's such a lovable kind of guy. Like, you just, if you ever see an interview, see him like just conducting himself in public, he's a very charismatic, friendly guy, and I just think that it might raise the doom and gloom that's currently wafting around the Fulham stadium.
Well, something had to change, didn't it, really?
Well, I'll repeat what I said on the last podcast, which is there's a thing said that every single club that Claudio Ranieri's been in charge with the first 10 matches, he's won about 50-60% of them. So I think certainly Fulham assets at the moment, I think Mitrovic is the main one. I think there's a differential. Maybe Schürrle could come out the woodwork and potentially be so. Even Tom Cairney, I think Tom Cairney's like 4.8 million. And I think that, I mean, when he got his first assist, I was like, fantastic. He's now going to potentially help us being that fifth midfielder that will get the odd assist here or there. And then he went and got injured. And then, he's come back. He may be somebody worth looking at. But yeah, Dan, what do you think on the actual scoreline for this game?
Okay, well, Southampton were a bit unlucky against Watford. But yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 to Fulham. I think Southampton will score because Fulham is still crap at the back. I hope Callum Chambers stays at
repeating word for word what I've just said there. So on to Jason's team, Manchester United. They're at home to Crystal Palace. I think it's the perfect fixture for United to have after basically they got battered, didn't they, versus City. And to be honest, it's a fixture that United like to play in. At home, they've scored 6 without reply. Bizarrely, away from Old Trafford, they've scored 7 but conceded 4. Very peculiar. But at home, they seem to like playing Crystal Palace. And I'm personally going to go with 2-0. The history's going to go with 2-0. Dan, are you going to copy me and say 2-0?
Yeah, why not? 2-0. 2-0. Anthony Martial. Given too much. Well, I'm not going to give it away. That was my main plan to bring him in. But with this defensive injury headache with Mendy, I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to take him out, so maybe I'm going to have to hold fire on Martial. But I'm sure a lot of people have already got Martial in. They're going to get him in. And United's fixtures going into the Christmas schedule are looking good. So he could be a central pick, really.
Well, the man sitting just over there is our Jason, and you do have Martial. Now, to be honest with you, I'll cut straight to it. He is the player that I wish I owned for this game week.
Do I have him?
Think that... I thought you did, Jason. Oh, no, you got him on the free
hit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was part of the free hit.
You got him on the free hit. That's right, because you cancelled the transfers. You did, didn't you? So
that's correct, yeah.
Are you potentially going to be bringing him in?
Well, I've made my transfers.
Right, okay.
I literally... I'm not repeating what happened last time. I've made my transfers. I did them before everyone set off for the international break, and I thought, right, I'm going to do my transfers and forget about FPL. So he's a great pick going forward. Don't get me wrong, he's a great pick. But there's I've done 2 transfers, and I think that if you don't own him, and you're looking to get him in, then it's better sooner than later, really. Especially like Dan said, fixture-wise, form-wise. I mean, I think he's proven to Mourinho that he's almost like a certainty now. He to me, if I was the United manager, he'd be the first name on the team sheet. Second to De Gea. I just think there's... I mean, if he can just polish his off the ball, like his positioning and his runs, he could be the FPL best striker in the FPL. Well, he's a midfielder, but he could be the highest scoring midfielder in the FPL quite easily. But he's just like Gary Neville did a great analysis on him. If you get a chance, watch Gary Neville's analysis on Anthony Martial. His off the ball needs improvement, but his actual positioning when he's in and around the box, receiving passes, is really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does get close to 20 goals, 15 to 20 goals. This season, not just in the Premier League, but
in total. Wow. Yeah. Well, talking of midfielders, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking at to captain. I'll be honest with you, I am one of them that's got the armband on Mo Salah. They're away at Watford, so it's Watford versus Liverpool. Liverpool do like to play Watford here. They've scored 17 goals against Watford, seven of which Watford. Let's start again, shall we? Liverpool have scored 7 goals. Watford have scored 7, and there have been 4 clean sheets in this fixture. 3 of them have been in Liverpool's favour, but a lot of these games have been very high scoring for Liverpool. Although, surprisingly, the history is actually only going to go with a slight 2-1 victory. I think that Liverpool I think they're gonna win, not too easily. I'm gonna go with 2-0 again. I think that I have this gut feeling, I don't know why, that Mo Salah may repeat what he did last year, and was it 4 goals that he scored, wasn't it? An assist.
Yeah, that was at Anfield,
yeah, it was at Anfield, and yeah, I'm going with a comfortable 2-0 victory to Liverpool. I think Jurgen Klopp is slowly beginning to set up his team to literally just go out, get the goals, and then we'll just set up shop and just calm ourselves down. Don't overexcite ourselves. I don't want any of our main attacking players getting injured. And yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to go with a 2-0 here. But Dan, potentially Mo Salah for you, or maybe even Mane.
Do you know what? I just remembered I've still got Pereira. Oh, God. Oh, why? Maybe I'll jump off that pier on Saturday. This is so frustrating. Yeah, I think Salah's got a really good record against Watford, hasn't he? In the previous, not just that one game last season, but in games prior to that, he's got a good record. So I think I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool. Maybe wise for me. This is what a transfer plan that I considered this week, to invest in a Liverpool defender. Well, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who impressed me in the England game against the US and impressed me in the Liverpool game against Fulham. He actually got a goal for England against the US, and he nearly got a goal against Fulham. He does get in some attacking positions, and he's 5.1, 5.2. I think he's 5.1. 5.1,
yeah.
Yeah, so that could be interesting. But yeah, I'll definitely captain Salah. In answer to your question.
So
what do you think?
Say again, sorry.
I was going to say, Jason, what do you think on this before we go to some questions and comments?
Well, captaining Salah.
I
mean, I think he's going to be the poll leader for captain this game week. Playing it safe. It would be an easy option to go with Mohamed Salah away at Watford. Watford aren't exactly showing great strengths in defence, and Salah's starting to show his, ruthlessness in front of goal. We've got a few people in chat. Hello, guys. We've got Notorious Nerd. We've got Jack Gleason that's joined us. We've also got Kieran. I believe your name's Kieran. Yeah, Kieran McGrath. He was on about doing Fraser and Laporte out for Martial and Michael Keane. Now, I said, go for it, because it's no hit. What do you guys think?
Laporte out. I wouldn't get rid of Laporte unless you're trying to create funds to get Martial in.
Take Fraser out. Obviously, the fixtures going forward for Fraser obviously are a bit dicey. And I think he wants to bring Michael Keane and Martial in. I don't think they're bad moves if he's got other defenders as well that he can rotate. Obviously, Man City, they can get clean sheets in any game, but I like the Martial move.
Yes, I think the Martial move is pretty much on everybody's lips. Let's be honest here, the edge of everybody's tongues. They all want to bring in Martial. It's a question of how to bring him in. I mean, I've got one free transfer because I had 2 before the international break. I used one of them, and I've still got the other one carried over. But the only way I can personally get Martial in is if I was to get rid of Richarlison. I'd be a fool to bring in Martial ahead of Richarlison for the Cardiff game. That'd be just madness.
We've got an interesting. I think who was it? somebody just outside the top 1K, Jack Gleason. He's going to be captaining
one of your rivals, Jason.
He's going to be captaining Richarlison over Sterling and Aguero this game week. Absolute baller. Good luck to you.
Great move.
So we got quite a few people talking now. We got Evan from Bangladesh. Hello, Evan. I'll try to spell your name properly. Sorry, we're carrying on. Steve, sorry to cut you out.
No, just with somebody that's just outside the top 1,000, and you're now in 1,300. Is that right, Jason? Something like that?
Yeah. I played with Fire last week, or the week before last. And I did an outrageous free hit move. For those of you who don't know, I decided to go completely against logic and what I've been doing up until this point, and I actually took a free hit to get in a bunch of players who I figured would outscore my team by quite a margin. It turned out to be an absolute failure. So yeah.
And just to put into more context to make it how bad of a failure it was, you were 328th in the world. Is that right, Jason?
Yeah, roughly around about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I can't remember now the precise thing, and you went down to something like 700, and then the final matches of the game week, you ended up outside the top 1,000. Just cruel game. But
then if you look at it, if you try and look at it via numbers, like I'm not really any different to, even though I'm further down the rankings, because it's so squashed in the top 1,000 or top 10. Well, I would say the top 5,000 is really, really squashed. I'm only 20 points behind, still the top 100th. So it's not as bad as it looks, even though I've dropped almost 1,000 places.
And when you hear that guy say that he's going to be captaining Richarlison, do you think instantly like, wow, this is a guy that's in that, the same region as you? Maybe I should do the same, because that's what I'd be listening to. I mean, once the second you mention that, I'm thinking, what does he know that I don't? Like, he's clearly doing extremely well in the game, and yet he's making I wouldn't say it's a maverick, but it's certainly a differential captaincy choice for this game week. Do you not like this?
Yeah, I mean, if it goes right, then you're going to propel right up the rankings. But likewise, if it goes wrong, then it's vice versa. If you're going to, like I tried to explain last podcast that we did, like I chose to do that free hit. Part of me looking at majority of me was looking at the overall ranking. I was kind of a bit selfish in the sense that, I had a bit of a lead in the FPL, in the Torbay Elite League that we're in. I want to try and get as high as anyone's ever been in our league in the overall rankings. And my logic was, right, let's take this risk. And the players that I brought in, that game week, I genuinely thought were going to perform. And it was really, I don't like to say bad luck, but it just didn't work out the way I'd expected it. It's one of those. I mean, but it's risk taking, like bringing in obviously how Captain Richarlison. That's gonna, if it does pay off, it can project you right up. Especially if the likes of Salah doesn't score more than one or doesn't even score. If he blanks, then the majority of FPL players are going to get no returns from their captaincy choices, and the people who've captained differentials are going to fly up the leagues. Yeah.
Remember when I captained Richarlison against Fulham and they beat them 3-0 and didn't get any returns? I mean, that seemed at the time a logical decision, and obviously they beat Fulham 3-0. But oh man, that was painful. But I don't know. I've got this feeling about Watford Liverpool now. You've got it in my head. I'm just thinking it might be a bit tighter, and maybe against Cardiff, Richarlison's going to get more opportunities, and Salah's going to get against Watford, but Watford playing quite well, and maybe that's the guy's logic.
I mean, linking into a game which I think is going to be, of all the predictions that I've got here, usually there's like 2 or 3 which stand out where you're like, oh, I'm struggling with the captaincy choice here, or even with the history, there's normally 1, 2 or 3 games where it's saying that, you know, there's a captaincy pick here in this particular game, I suggest you go with it. This is the first week that there's only one standout team, which myself, the history, maybe yourself, Dan, and Jason are agreeing that this is going to be a total annihilation, despite the fact this season West Ham have actually done okay against the so-called top 4, top 6 teams. It's West Ham against Man City. But Man City, my goodness, they do enjoy playing West Ham. And in the last 6, there's been 4 away fixtures for City with an aggregate score of 16-1. The history's going to go with 4-0. I'm going with 4-0. Any Sterling owners out there, I suggest you captain him. Talking of the gentleman that is not positive, he likes to play against West Ham. Yeah, Dan. I mean, I'm looking at possibly Aguero, but the fact that his away returns have been terrible this season, albeit against better quality teams. There is a toss of the coin here for myself between Aguero and Salah. What do you think on City versus West Ham?
That is a really tasty game. That's a game I'd like to watch, actually. As you say, West Ham have done quite well. I mean, they beat United, they drew at home to Chelsea, kept Hazard quiet when he was on that peak form. And it's Pellegrini against his old team as well. Zabaleta against his old team. There's quite a lot of subplots. So it's an intriguing game. But as Man City are unstoppable this season, I mean, they took apart. Oh, here he is. Our mate Raheem. Just in case anyone forgot what he looked like. Is Jay Hinton something?
Yeah, I think I honestly,
wallpaper, mate.
I'm saying right now, I just googled it. No, but I think it's going to be the Sterling show this weekend, and I think I'm really I know we say, and I'm kind of skipping forward, and I don't want to, but we always say is the one player that you wish you had in your team, Raheem Sterling. I mean, I think he's going to go mad against West Ham. I really do. Yeah. He's looking so good.
I know he is. He is. I think for the result, I've still got Laporte. I've got an Arnautovic, but West Ham's fixtures after this game are a lot. They're really good. They're really good, actually. So I'm going to keep an Arnautovic, keep Laporte. I'm going to go for 3-0 to Manchester City.
Sorry, what was that?
3-0. What about you, Joe? I think what you in the score predictions crunch.
I genuinely think I'm not overreacting, and I don't like City as a team. Being a United fan, but I admire their football, and I genuinely think that that if they want to, they could put 10 goals against some teams in the league quite easy. I mean, maybe
they might do it this season.
It's just one of I think they're going to probably beat their goal record. I mean, it's crazy. I think West Ham is going to be. They're going to be pinned back. It's going to be a game of just City slowly going forward first half and then starting to get a few goals. I'm going to say 4-0 to Man City.
Do you guys think that Sterling is an essential player for this season? You know, you have players locked in for the season. Obviously, last season, the way he's been performing for club and country and the stats and his returns, the amount of touches he's got in the opposition penalty box is always
that
really
word
high.
Again, isn't it? It's that word essential, isn't it? It's like, how many players are essential? Could you argue Hazard? I mean, out of the City team, the most nailed on, I would say right now, is David Silva, because of De Bruyne's injury, and Aguero because of the out of favour and out of form Jesus. So Sterling, there's always that
rotation,
but the thing is, he's not really getting rotated, is he? Have you noticed?
That's the point.
He's not so how long do we ignore him?
But wasn't it after the international break last time when he actually scored against Spain, put in a great performance, and then Guardiola was like, "Well, I'm Spanish. I'm a bit annoyed. I'm going to rest him now. He scored against my team," and then he just Sterling came back the next game and probably, got good results. So I'm putting fear into myself now, but I haven't got Sterling.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to have in your team if he is benched. But then, coming into the Christmas period now, you're gonna have people. You're gonna have players getting rested. And that's why a part of me is I've got this slight. We talked about Martial. I mean, I love watching him play, but there's always that. I've still got that horrible feeling that Mourinho is going to reduce his minutes or something like that as the fixture congestion comes up. If you've actually seen the fixture list through December, you can see it's quite congested at times. So yeah, I mean we'll wait and see. Like I said, I think he should be the second name after De Gea on the team sheet. But it's Mourinho, and we all know with Mourinho, necessarily he doesn't always think the same way as the general fan or football fan thinks. So yeah,
because there is another thing as well with these the Champions League games in December. Liverpool, Tottenham, and United. They've still. I mean, Man City are more or less through, aren't they? I'm assuming they are through, or they're nearly through, or whatever. So they could kind of rest Sterling for a game in the Champions League. Whereas for Man United, obviously they beat Juventus and like Tottenham as well. If they need to keep progressing, they may rotate players in the Premier League, rest players. Whereas Champions League, they're essential. Like Martial's got to play in the next Champions League game, but a game at home to Palace, maybe risk of rotation. So that's going to come into play in December, definitely.
I think for me, when I look at players, I just look at them as how important are they for their actual team. I think players like Sterling are very important. I don't think that there's anybody there to replace him. There are players to replace him per se, but of his quality, I don't think there's anybody there. And I personally am looking at this scenario where it's, do I downgrade, for example, one of my premium defenders in Alonso Robertson and upgrade one of my more cheaper midfielders to bring in Sterling? I think over the Christmas period, there was something that Fantasy Football Scout put up today about minutes played over the Christmas period, and funny enough, Sterling and Aguero played the most for City, as an example.
But let me bring this in. Sorry, Steve. But thinking like what you're saying now, it's just triggered something in my head, and I will put it to you. Like, do you know a few weeks ago, and probably even now, that Mane Salah argument? I know that Mane hasn't been performing the last few fixtures, but Salah being as high as 13 million, Salah being 13, and Sterling being like almost 2 million less than him. Do you still think that money's better spent with Sterling? Or because I know that you were, would you say that money's better spent with Sterling at 11 and Salah at 13?
The thing with Sterling is that, again, I've got no statistics in front of me, but it's more of his consistency. I think, based on my memory of it as it stands, Sterling appears to be very explosive. He'll do like a one double-digit score blank, one double-digit score blank, or whatnot. Whereas someone like Salah is just continuously plodding along, getting us a goal, getting us an assist, and with such a high ownership, I don't want to be losing out on the points that my rivals, or especially in the overall ranking, where I'm just going to slip because a high-owned player is going to be getting points that I'm not getting with, say, Sterling. I think Sterling is a different. I think he's still under 10% ownership, I think.
Really?
And I would rather have both Sterling and Salah and Hazard, if it's possible. I haven't even looked at it, but if it's possible, I'd love to have all three.
What? So Sterling or Aguero? Which one would you rather have?
Aguero.
You'd rather have Aguero because obviously similar sort of price bracket.
The consistency, Jason, and I think that I personally think actually my strike force is more versatile to be getting gone rather than my midfield. I think this season so far, midfielders have proven to be the more the more, what's the word I'm looking for here? The players that you wanted to be bringing in, because they're more consistently bringing in returns, whereas the strikers, so there's no premium strikers doing anything much, barring Aguero. I'm talking on a consistency level here, barring Aguero, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. Those three, other than them three, there's no one else really consistently performing in the premium bracket. And it's the lower end scale, which, for instance, Callum Wilson, Dan's Glenn Murray, albeit he didn't score last week. But the point being is he's got some good returns this season. Arnautovic is another one which is quite expendable. I'm not even, as it stands, I'm not even playing him this week. So that's a 7 million player on my bench, because I'm actually more, and we'll get to it in a minute, I'm more confident that Callum Wilson's got more chance of scoring against Arsenal than Arnautovic has got against scoring City, as an example. Yeah. I just think there's more money expendable in the strike force to upgrade some of our midfielders. In fact, now thinking out loud here, I think that's a very good plan. I think that's a very good plan, actually. Downgrading a striker to then upgrade one of my my midfielders.
So very quickly, Andy Salter in chat is saying that Spurs from Gameweek 15's fixtures are looking really nice. Kane is a low risk for rotation. Couldn't you see Harry Kane, the rise of Harry Kane again, mid-season? During these real congested, fixtures that are coming up for Christmas.
It's that classic one again. He's a guaranteed starter, but from what I've been hearing, I mean, you guys actually watch the games. He doesn't even play up front anymore. He just lets Lucas Moura play more further forward, and Kane's dropping further back. And it's, from a fantasy perspective, his returns have been terrible this season. Me personally, if I was looking at Tottenham, I'd be looking at defenders, guaranteed starters, Trippier, the Tongan, Alderweireld when he gets back from injury. I think guaranteed starters in defence, and maybe potentially looking at a differential in Ali, or maybe Lamella. But Harry Kane, for me, too much money to be spending on a player which, he's just not, he hasn't proven himself yet so far this season from a fantasy perspective. I mean, Jason, what do you think on Harry Kane?
Harry Kane has burnt me on 2 occasions. He's a frustrating one, because you watch him in midweek, or you watch him, for England, and he almost seems like a different player, like playing more advanced, getting better service. And like the guys in chat are saying, Andy again in chat, Eriksen and Ali haven't been playing, so Spurs have been out of shape. But Eriksen and Ali have been phased back in. Last game week they were phased back in. And I just watched the game, and I just watched Harry Kane just dropping back with Moura and Son playing more advanced or making runs into the box. I mean, I think I counted 2 or 3 times where Harry Kane actually put the cross into the box. I mean, you want him to be on the end of those receiving those crosses, because that's his strength, in the air, holding up, laying off, turning, shooting.
Yeah, well, like he did against Croatia on the end of the cross.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just from an FPL point of view, you've really almost pulling the hair out when you're watching him. And believe me, I ain't got a great lot of hair left.
Well, I mean, this whole chat links us perfectly into the evening game on Saturday, which is Tottenham versus Chelsea.
Oh,
very, very, very tough game for me to call here. That's why I'm going with a high-scoring 2-2 draw. The history is suggesting a very high-scoring game with 22 goals involved in this fixture. In the wins, there's been 3 Chelsea wins, 2 Tottenham wins, where both teams in each corresponding fixture have scored for themselves as winners, 9 goals each. The history is actually in favour of Chelsea, going with 2-1. Now, before we went live, Jason actually did mention possibility of Hazard as captain. And do you know what? I was even considering Hazard captain for this fixture. Dan, Hazard captain?
I haven't got Hazard, so but yeah, it's an interest. If you have got him, he's got a decent record from recollection against Tottenham. Probably the fixture of the weekend. I know Chelsea won their last season, but then Tottenham beat them. I think it was towards the end of it, was at 3-1 at Stamford Bridge in the last league game.
Yeah, yes.
So that was quite a big psychological hurdle that Tottenham overcame. So it's an evening game as well. I'm going to go 2-1 to Tottenham.
2-1 to Tottenham.
There's my shot. God, the Arsenal fan tipping. I don't know. I mean, I just have these gut feelings, as you say, and there's always a shock result that I predict. And because it's an evening game,
I don't think that'll be a shock. I don't think Tottenham. I'll tell you what will be a shock. Will be the next game in a minute that we'll chat about, which involves your lads. But I don't think Tottenham beating Chelsea would be a shock. I think they've won. They've won 50.
But how many games have Chelsea lost in the league this season? Are they?
None. They're unbeaten this season.
So yeah, it would be. But yeah, like you said, Tottenham obviously always been strong the last few years. So yeah. What about you, Jay?
What do I think? I think it's a tough one. It's a tough one to call. Depends what type of Harry Kane turns up, to be honest with you. I mean, he's just played international games. Buoyed from the results midweek. I think there's goals in both teams, like Steve-O was saying, but I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think it may just be 1 goal apiece. I might go for a boring 1-1 draw.
Really? Well, okay, that's interesting. Well, we'll move on to Dan's team, Arsenal. They're away at Bournemouth, and yeah, despite the fact that Arsenal have won 4 of the last 6, the last match Bournemouth actually won 2-1, and the one match before that ended 3-3. So in recent times, Bournemouth have actually got a decent record against Arsenal. The history is going to go with a 2-1 victory to Arsenal. I'm actually of the belief as well Arsenal will just edge it as well. But it wouldn't surprise me with the last couple of games, Dan, you've drawn, is that right?
Yeah, drew against Wolves that we should have lost 3-4-1.
Yeah.
Probably. That was and it drew against Palace as well, away. This is the thing about international break. I forgot about all this. It's bringing back bad memories now of scraping the draw and being absolutely battered by Wolves. And that game away to Bournemouth, that was just dire, away to my home team, as you call it, losing 7. That 3-3, Bournemouth went 3-0 up within the first half an hour. Lucas Perez was on the score sheet that day for Arsenal. There's one for the pub quiz. But yeah, I hope we get back onto form. I hope to see Iwobi playing and back on form. I hope Mkhitaryan doesn't play. He's not playing. Well, he did score last time, but I hope to see Iwobi back on his best form. I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arsenal, but I'm not even the mention of the fixture gets me a bit anxious and a bit worried that we might be on the end of an upset. And I think Callum Wilson owners should stick because defensively we're conceding the chances, and Wilson's scored. No, scored last week for England. Been scored against United before, so I think Wilson owners should stick.
Yeah,
it's wise to stick with him.
Certainly going to keep him. And if you want to ask my opinion on this game, Bournemouth Arsenal. Having watched a few Arsenal games, I think Dan will know. Going forward, they're looking nice at the back. They're very acceptable to counter attacks and set pieces. Bournemouth, they're a bit the same, really. It's almost like 2 teams that are very attacking going together. So it could be a bit of a goal fest. I'm going to say 3-2 to Bournemouth. Let's go.
I mean, talking of goal fest, the last 2 fixtures of the game week, really, I don't think are going to be. We'll start with anybody with triple Wolves defence. I highly would probably recommend playing all 3. And they're up against Huddersfield here. I'm going 1-0. The history's actually going with the reverse. They're going with a 1-0 victory to Huddersfield. The last 3 have ended 1-0 to Huddersfield. Dan, have you got triple Wolves defence or just a double?
I've still got my wild card heroes, as I call them. Doherty, who's got this facial injury, 75% chance of playing at the moment. He didn't play for Ireland against Denmark, but Doesn't seem to be a major injury. So I've still got him, still keeping him, and Patricio as well. All being well, I'll play both. I know Huddersfield have been getting some reasonable results of recent, beating Fulham, drawing West Ham, only losing by 1 goal to Liverpool, and played very well in that match. But I'm going to go for Wolves to win 2-0.
2-0 was that?
Yeah, sorry, I said it really quietly. 2-0.
I think another player that I'm looking at to bring in, because I just think he's a bargain, is Jimenez.
Yeah, he's been very transferred. Well, he's got highly transferred in this way.
Yeah, a couple of for a player that's 5.7, I think he is now, and just slowly plodding along at his price. I think certainly any owners play him. Now onto my team, Burnley versus Newcastle. Oh God, this is Monday Night Football. Anybody with a Newcastle defender or player, play him this match, because we're going to lose this. I don't see us winning at all. I've got it down as an absolute dire 1-0 victory to Newcastle. The history's going 1-1. We've only met each other 4 times in our history, and 3 of them have actually ended in draws, 2 of them being 1-1. I've got Goodmunson playing on Monday evening. I'd love to get a 1-0 victory with Goodmunson getting me the goal, but just can't see it. Dan, any hope for us whatsoever on Monday evening?
Yeah, I think you beat them 1-0 last season at home, and it was a Monday night game as well. I recollect that. Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
Say it again, sir.
So I believe that Burnley beat Newcastle 1-0 at home last season. It was a Monday night game. I've got a deja vu thing going on here.
I don't know if I couldn't really comment. We definitely did beat them 1-0 though.
I think it was. And I know Newcastle beat Bournemouth. Oh, beat Bournemouth 2-1 last time out. So based on all that, I'm going to go for 1-0 to Burnley.
Burnley, all right, okay.
That could be my shock result. Well, not shock result.
Jack Leaston in chat's mentioned actually about Goodmunson, about his injury doubt, his calf injury.
Oh, no.
Are you slightly concerned that he might miss out against?
It's an international. What do you call it? International injury.
Well, I'm going to throw my penny's worth in, and I think Burnley. I'm not as pessimistic as you. I think Burnley are going to win this game against Newcastle, and I think it's going to be more than 1 goal. I think Vokes will be getting in with a goal. I think it may be 2-0 to Burnley.
Good God, if he scores for you, I say I'll give you 50p, but talking of 50p and money, Dan, who is your dead cert bet of this weekend? Who's guaranteed to win? Because I tell you what, they're all bloody
this week, actually. Yeah. Oh,
it's gotta be sick.
I mean, the main ones. Liverpool, of course, away at Watford. That ain't easy. No, Man City away at West Ham.
That's
not really that easy. Quite a small thinking.
Have you not been watching the Man City games and shit?
Yeah, but it's Pellegrini. This is probably one of the hardest ones yet. I'm tossed up. I'm sort of in a toss-up between.
I'll tell you what I would recommend. I'd probably recommend Man United beating Crystal Palace. I think that's the dead cert personally. When I look at this, Crystal Palace at the moment they're awful.
Going slightly on the same similar topic, you mentioned earlier on about differential captain choices. You were talking about Richarlison's chances this week against Cardiff. I think someone mentioned in chat as well. I don't know who it was, but I completely agree. Martial, captain choice against Crystal Palace. That is that's another, if not more differential captain pick than Richarlison this week.
I'm going to go. Thanks for giving me time to think about that. Martial is a very good captain potential pick. Differential. I'm going to go for Man City to beat West Ham. I was going to go for United, but yeah, I'm a bit worried now. Actually, I think it could be the 13th week unlucky. Could
this be more of a difficult decision than your transfer business for your team, Dan?
No, I don't, it's just the whole finding out that Mendy was injured on Monday is really sabotage my plans somewhat because my initial plans.
What's the injury, Dan? I haven't been keeping up to date.
It's knee injuries. He's had an operation.
Yeah.
And he's
I think somebody mentioned that he tweeted out saying, "Sorry, guys, in FPL, you have to find someone else," or something like
that. That's quite.
He did. He tweeted out a picture of him lying down on the
That's quite
yeah. Very good, very good. So also I'm gonna have to take Mendy out, get another defender in.
Yeah, but can I ask though? Do you have to do that? Is your bench?
Yes, I do. We've spoke about this. Well, my bench is bloody terrible. I've got Jason's great recommendation for Rico from Bournemouth that never plays. I've got Wan-Bissaka who's not going to get points against United. I've got Doherty, Laporte. So obviously Doherty, Laporte will play. But yeah, I need to get a defender, and I don't know when Mendy's coming back. So I need to get a defender. And then I've got my front three. I'm happy with. Well, Arnautovic, I don't think he'll get points this week. I want to keep him in for a long time. Murray, good fixture. Good fixtures coming up. Aguero, we've talked about before. Mane. Oh, the fact that he didn't score against Fulham still annoying me. And the fact that Sterling's on form could be probably will be another 4-point hit. You always ask me about my plans for my team, and I always try and pretend, but yeah, tempting. Mendy's gone, so we'll see. What about your plans?
Yeah, mine are as it stands. I'm going with a 4-4-2, so it's a standard goalkeeper of Ryan in goal, and it'd be Trent Alexander, Robertson double up, Bennett and Alonso. Although I'm kind of looking at possibly benching Alonso and bringing in Brooks or a Northwich. I'm not sure. This is the problem with my team.
Benching Alonso?
Yeah.
He scored a free kick at Wembley last season.
Yeah. In fact, he got. I saw some YouTube fantasy tip thing that Alonso got one of the biggest scores in FPL history. I can't bloody remember what it was now for a defender last year.
Devo, mate, as a rival in our mini league, please bench Alonso.
I'm not going to go against what I always say, which is never bench a premium defender. So I think I'm probably going to stick with the 4-4-2. I'm basically benching Arnautovic as it stands. Arnautovic, Brooks, and whoever else I've got. I can't even bloody. It's gone. But yeah, I'm captaining as it stands Salah. I need to look at more in the history about who likes scoring against who, but right now I think Salah is the one for me. If I do change it, it'll be to Aguero. I think Aguero may get a similar return to Salah, if I'm honest. But I don't think I'll be looking at a differential in Richarlison. I don't think me taking a risk at the position that I'm in at the moment is worth doing personally. More importantly, Jason, what are you planning on doing? What are you willing to transfers?
So I've gone into my transfers. I've already divulged that I've done a -4. You could probably find that out anyway, just by looking at my team anyway. But kind of a bit of a. Should I let you guys know? I mean, does it really matter?
You guys won the league, Joe. Come on.
So yeah. So I've done Mendy out. I've done Richarlison out. And I've done Martial in. Does this ring any bells? And I've done Trent Alexander-Arnold in. So this is it's literally the roundabout has gone full circle, and that -8 has come back to now be a -4. So technically, I'm still down more points than what I would have if I'd have kept that -8. Anyway, but anyway.
Despite the fact that United have got, I think they've got a very good fixture at home to Crystal Palace, but you not thinking that actually Richarlison's home visit of Cardiff isn't a better fixture? I'm quite surprised that. I mean, I'm getting, fine, get rid of Mendy for Trent. Brilliant. Perfectly logical move, but Richarlison out ahead of Cardiff? What is the reasoning behind this?
What's the reasoning? I mean, I know everyone's singing Richarlison's praises, and he's done all right, but over the last 4 game weeks, okay, 5 game weeks, we want to be generous to Richarlison. He's only had that one that one game against Brighton. Okay, he did play Man United and Chelsea, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. Between Martial and Richarlison, very similar prices. I think the better values with Martial in a United team, and also the fixtures going forward. Looking into the congestion of fixtures, throughout December into early January, Richarlison is going to be facing Liverpool, City, Spurs, and again, I just think that Martial's fixture running is a little bit more generous. As long as he stays in favour of United, that was my thinking. So my only weakness that I can see in my team is my great pick of Fabianski, who's going to be smashing in, having an amazing save after save performance against Man City, but still conceding a hat-trick to David Silva, with Aguero assisting him. But anyway, don't take my transfers on board, because as we all know, of late, what do I know about FPL? Everything seems to have gone topsy-turvy for me.
Well, his price is only going to go up, isn't it? I suppose with the fixtures, the bandwagon growing, I suppose, and the ownership going up, so it could pay off in the long run. And like you said, those fixtures for Carlton in December look tricky. So, but yeah, we'll see.
Jack Gleason in chat said that Steve-O, if you bench Alonso and he returns, that you have to get a history tattoo on your forehead. Yeah, I thought that was quite good actually.
Any more comments or anything, James?
Yeah. So Notorious Nerd is saying that Arnautovic will punish you. Who are you referring to? Who exactly will Arnie punish?
Me, because I benched him.
Oh, you benched him. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so he's referring to you then. So he thinks that Arnautovic will be able to get something out of that game against City. Personally, I think that may be a bridge too far for him, but who knows? Mitro's on fire. Ranieri versus Southampton. Dejan. I'm echoing. I think that it wouldn't surprise me if Mitro gets a goal or two against Southampton.
Yeah, I think.
And you know what's going to happen if he does? Final Fantasy Scout is going to go meltdown, and everyone's going to be transferring him back in. It'll be Arnautovic out. If he doesn't do anything against City, it'll be Arnie out, Mitro in, guaranteed. You heard it here first, guys. Take it to the bank.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that with West Ham games coming up. I'm going to stick to my guns. Just to rain on your parade there, but no. Because Arnautovic's stats as well have been quite good of his touches in the opposition penalty box, and yeah, the Mitrovic bandwagon. I just burnt after that game away to Huddersfield, so still burnt.
It's certainly a game, because the following game week is Ranieri's back at Leicester.
Ooh.
That's going to be a bit of a coming, and it's going to be a bit of a very sorrow time, I think. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up, Dan, for the.
Yeah.
One more suggestion. Really? There was a few messages back, and if you Evan, if you're still in chat, I think I did try to reply to you, but I'll throw the question to Dan and Steve-O as well. Evan is saying, is owning both Fraser and Wilson detrimental to my team for the run of fixtures? I have Aguero and Arnie up top, and Hazard and Salah, Richarlison and Camarasa enabler in midfield. If I sell one, which one? So I think he's getting at which Bournemouth should he sell? He's got a little bit of cash that he can free up. Which one out of Fraser and Wilson, or would you recommend him keep both?
I'd get rid of Fraser personally. I just think keep faith in the strike force. I think there's more expendable cash to be looking at better fixtures for not better midfielders, but for other midfielders that have got more favourable fixtures. So I certainly think that because I'm looking at potentially getting rid of Brooks, maybe downgrading Brooks, and like I said, downgrading Brooks to a really cheap midfielder. Tom Kearney, like I said, potentially is a 4.8, and being able to upgrade another one of my midfielders, but it's all going to take time over game. So of the two, certainly I would probably get rid of Fraser personally. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, the fixtures are turning a little bit for Bournemouth now, but Wilson's still great value this season. Wilson's been, apart from when I had him in my team for like 3 games, he only got a couple of assists. But I think this trend for, like, as we said before about premium forwards, Aguero's been the main reliable guy. Lukaku's been dead all season. Kane's been dead all season. Lacazette's sort of come and gone. But yeah, Aguero's been the main one. So it's looking at premium options in midfield. So stick with Wilson, still great value. Maybe trade Fraser. And Brooks is a bit of is an interesting one because he's so cheap. He's a bit of a marked man though. He was headbutted in the game last night for Wales against Albania, and the last game I've seen him play for Bournemouth against Newcastle, he was taken out with a 2-foot challenge. So maybe he doesn't get injured at some point. He's not had much luck recently.
So Jack Gleason in chat was saying about don't sell, don't buy for that situation. But I think that's getting rid of one. I agree. I think getting rid of probably Fraser would be a good option for another, almost budget midfielder. But like, I wouldn't take a -4 for it. So no. if it needs a -4 to remedy, then don't do it. But if you can do a nice like for like switch from Fraser to a Kearney or whoever going forward, then do that. But certainly not any hits.
That's it. So yeah, as long as there's not any other questions or talking points in the live chat, that concludes our Game Week 13 preview for the Elite FPL podcast. If you're on Instagram, give us a follow, Elite FPL. If you're watching the replay of this live chat, leave us a comment. Please let us know anything we can improve on, any dilemmas you've got for your team, any feedback, any thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you next time. But yeah, check us out on Instagram as well. We do little videos previewing the games coming up and looking at our teams. So it'd be great to connect with you on there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks a lot, guys, for tonight, and thanks for everyone that watched. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yeah, the weekend, guys, we'll be probably doing a reactionary podcast for the weekend's games. Keep an eye out on our Twitter and on our mainly on our Instagram, because the guys like to post update videos on there, letting you guys know when we're going to be going live for the reactionary podcast. It's normally probably going to be on what's the games this weekend, Steve? What do you reckon? It's like you're going to be on Saturday?
I was probably thinking early Sunday afternoon, because what did Dan say when it's a rubbish match? Wolves versus Huddersfield. I don't think anybody gives a damn about that. Yes.
Sunday afternoon is a good time, yeah. So Sunday afternoons, do a reactionary for the weekend's games.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for cheers.
And nice to see new faces in chat as well. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.